Hello and a happy Thursday. How's it going out there? I am doing my live on a Thursday because I had some tech issues yesterday, and try as I might, YouTube wasn't working for me. All right. So I'm Julie with Balance Life with Julie, regenerative health practitioner, holistic nutritionist. And let me turn off my phone so it doesn't keep buzzing. Um, yeah, so today what I wanted to do is I actually want to talk about food combining. And this is something that's really, really important for people to understand because food has a profound effect on how we feel in our body. But when we're eating things that are not properly combined, then what ends up happening is that you may end up not feeling not great in your body, thinking that it's something else when it can be as simple as the way that you're combining your foods. Because if you're doing poor food combining, what can end up happening is you can end up having like experiencing gas, experiencing bloating, experiencing discomfort, or even thinking that you're dealing with some kind of a chronic illness, depending on what kind of combinations you're doing. And case in point, yesterday, actually, I met with a brand new client. And, a lot of people have this idea that, oh, I'm doing pretty good in terms of my diet. I'm eating quote unquote healthy. And what she didn't realize is that in her morning smoothie, she was adding in yogurt with fruit with grains. And that combination of foods for her system was creating nausea. And she dealt with this like literally for years. And it's interesting because her son is a regenerative farmer that we buy our produce from. So I guess during a conversation with my other half, um, he mentioned what had been going on with his mom and how she didn't, feel that great. And, she eats pretty healthy. She makes this awesome smoothie first thing in the morning. And my other half asked him, he's like, well, what is she putting in that smoothie? And he listed off all the ingredients. And Michael said to him, he's like, well, she needs to get rid of the yogurt. that's that's why she's having issues. That's why she's feeling the way that she's doing, because she's combining something like dairy with fruit which digests really, really quickly, and dairy, which we're not supposed to be having since it's the milk of another species. But even aside from that, it digests so slowly in our system, it creates a lot of gas and bloating and issues. Well, lo and behold, she got rid of the dairy, she got rid of the yogurt, and she's like finally starting to feel better. She has energy. Her morning smoothie now is just fruit based, and she's feeling so much better as a result. And it took was that one little shift. And so because I met with her yesterday, she had some other questions as well. I decided that, you know what, I haven't talked about food combining in a very long time. And I actually also want to show some visuals later. So I haven't really talked about food combining in a really long time. Maybe I haven't even talked about it here that openly anyway. And so I want to talk about it because it is really, I'm proving right now that multitasking is not a thing. I found the images that I wanted. So anyway, yeah, that a lot of people don't actually understand food combining. And a lot of times when people are dealing with different kinds of issues, especially related to their gut, it can be as simple as looking at how you're combining things on your plate. So just to kind of give you an idea in terms of how things break down within the body, when we're different foods break down at different rates. So the thing that breaks down the fastest is generally fruit. So things like apples, berries, those kinds of things, that breaks down the fastest. The fruit that absorbs and breaks down the fastest is actually watermelon or anything in the melon family. This is why, as a rule, like if you're having watermelon or cantaloupe or some type of melon, always have those particular fruits all by themselves. Never, ever, ever combine them with even other fruits, because what happens is, so let's say I have a piece of watermelon. I know that when I have watermelon, it will digest, break down, and absorb into my body within 30 minutes. Now, if I combine that watermelon with like a banana and a papaya and some dates, now I'm actually creating a situation in my stomach where things can start to ferment, because the watermelon breaks down really, really fast. And the banana and the papaya and the dates, they take a longer time to break down. So it's really, from a food combining standpoint, it's really not a good idea. And here's the other thing is that oftentimes, like for all of us, we have been trained to think that our plate needs to have like five different types of foods on it, right? We need to have a grain, we need to have a piece of meat, we need to have starches, we need to have some non-starchy veggies. And somehow our body, our gut, is just supposed to figure out how to break down all of these things at the same time, even though they use different types of, they're different types of nutrients. They are digesting at completely different rates, and they use different types of digestive enzymes, depending on what it is. So, for example, if I'm having fruit, I have the enzymes to break down fruit in my mouth. I actually don't. Every time I do a live, my hair just bugs me. I don't know why. Totally digressing. But anyway, so I actually have the enzymes to break down fruit in my mouth. So I don't need any of the enzymes in my stomach to break down a piece of fruit. But if I were to have, say, some pasta or some bread, I don't have the enzymes necessary to break down those types of foods in my mouth. So, just to kind of give you an idea real quickly, fruit breaks down the fastest. Depending on the type of fruit, like watermelon, it's going to be under half an hour. But other fruits, like say bananas or dates, they might take closer to an hour. And then berries are kind of like somewhere in the middle. So fruits always break down the fastest, watermelon and melons in general being the fastest. Then we get into non-starchy vegetables. Those can take 2 to 4 hours, depending on what it is that you're having. Then we get into starchy vegetables that take a little bit more time, could be 4 to 5 hours, depending on the person and their system. Things like lentils, beans, grains, those will take a little bit more time on top of that. And then when you get into things like dairy and animal products, those are going to take the longest, right? That's going to take the most amount of time. So, like, let's say we take a typical Western breakfast, which is usually something like bacon and eggs, toast, hash browns, coffee, and then usually there's like a little side of fruit. Now, all of those foods, quote unquote foods, and I'm doing the quotations because some of those things I don't even consider food, because they're not the type of food that the human body is actually designed to eat. I mean, we're very, very adaptable, and we can put all kinds of stuff into our body, but that doesn't mean we should put all those things in the body. Case in point, you can drink soda pop, you can eat fast food, you can eat Doritos. Does that mean that is food for our body? And does that mean we need to be having those types of quote unquote foods? I'm going to say the answer is no, because they're highly processed, they're completely unnatural, they're full of additives, preservatives, GMOs, chemicals, things that our body actually doesn't know how to break down or digest, and things that our body does not recognize as food. So I can tell you, I've been doing this work now it's coming up on 9 years that I've been doing this. And in my experience of doing this work, one of the things that I have found, literally, I'm gonna fix my hair if it's the last thing I do. There we go. Apologies. I think I record these videos in my home office, and it is my absolute dream and I'm just going to put this out there. It is my absolute dream to actually get to a place where I am recording these videos in a studio with like somebody to do my makeup, my hair, my clothes, and to do it that way. That's my dream. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I generally tend to record these videos in my home office. And so my makeup and my hair is never what I want it to be, and nor is the setup. But whatever, I just also want to get this information out there. So, and this beautiful woman that I met with yesterday, and the health journey that she's been on, she's had like multiple cancer experiences, and she's dealing with other types of health things. And so much of the stuff that she's been dealing with also has to do with like just not understanding the way that food works in the body, and doing some poor food combining, not to mention eating things that are not even natural to the body, things like M&Ms. And so it, to me, really served as yet another reminder that I need to be sharing this information more, because even for myself, until I learned all of the things that I learned and understand now about the human body, I was kind of doing what everybody around me was doing. And guess what? I was also struggling with my health. I was struggling with mood. I dealt with depression and anxiety pretty much my entire life. And lo and behold, when I improved the quality of my food, when I started working on my gut health, when I addressed parasites, when I really decided that this is a lifestyle, this is not something that I do for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Like, this is how I do my life. I don't eat garbage. I respect my body temple enough to eat food that the human body is designed to eat. And I stopped looking at other things that are pushed on us by this, culture that we live in. We are all encouraged to eat things that our body is not designed to eat. And it's all because it has to do with commerce and business. And it has nothing to do with human health, human design, or what our species ought to be eating. And so, one of my visions with what I do is to actually get this information out there so that more people start eating a diet that is natural for the human body, for the human being. And I guarantee you, it's not soda pop, it's not fast food, it's not potato chips, it's not the most of the junk that they're selling in the grocery store and telling us that that is food. And the thing that really saddens me the most is that there's there are so many people that I see, quote unquote, in health and wellness, who call themselves nutritionists, naturopaths, homeopaths, medical doctors, personal trainers, chiropractors. They're in this health space, and yet, because they didn't learn really about how food works in the human body, even they themselves, and not to mention all the people that are influencers, right? Because that's a whole other category of people, especially in the social media space, where they haven't maybe necessarily taken any courses about how the human body works, or how we're designed and what we're supposed to be eating. Is just, they're on social media, they put out a lot of content, and, they have a platform. But that doesn't mean that they're in any way qualified to be sharing this information. And the other thing, as I was saying, which really saddens me, is that there are many, many people in the health space that are sharing information that is just completely incorrect, unfortunately. And that is what I found with this woman yesterday, this new client, because she's like, well, so and so was a nutritionist, and that she was the person that told me that this is okay to have. And I said, well, I can't vouch for where that person got their training, but I'm just letting you know that from the way that our body is designed and the way that things break down in our system, those particular foods have a completely different transit time in our body. They require completely different enzymes. And our body really likes things to be super, super simple. And so, if we can simplify the way that we eat and what we're putting into our body at any given time, it's going to make things easier. So what do I mean by simplify? So one of the things is, so my beautiful other half, Michael, he cut up a watermelon this morning. So when I go to have that watermelon later today, I'm just going to have the watermelon on its own. I'm not going to add any other fruit to it. I'm not going to add a side of something. I'm just going to make myself a nice bowl of watermelon and I'm going to have watermelon until I'm happy and feel full. And then I'm going to stop eating the watermelon and I'm going to put it away. And then a little bit later today, when I get hungry again, I will have something else. Now, depending on what time of day it is, I'm recording this video. It's almost like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So depending on what time of day it is, like let's say I have watermelon in an hour and then we go for a bike ride and I do a bunch of work and then it's like 5 o'clock or whatever, or 6 o'clock and I'm feeling hungry. Well, then what I most likely will do is I will make myself a nice big salad of some sort. That'll have greens, it'll have beets, it'll have probably shredded beets, some peppers, some tomatoes, and that kind of thing. And then that'll be it. But there won't be any fruit in my salad. It'll all be veggies and it'll probably be some type of a oil-free dressing because in our household, we don't really do oils, right? And I have a feeling as I'm talking that this is going to end up being a multi-part video because there are so many things that are being promoted in terms of things that people should eat and ought to eat that we don't really need to be eating. And one of the things is oil, right? So a lot of people believe that a certain amount of oil is actually healthy for us. And I am not of that belief. I think that while our body needs fat, we can get fat from whole food sources, and our body doesn't need a lot of fat. So, yes, we need fat. Why do we need fat? Well, because our brain needs some fat, and our cells and tissues, the outer membranes, like there's fat, and we need some fat to just kind of like cushion our organs and whatnot. So yes, we need a little bit of fat. We don't need a lot of fat. And actually, if you focus on getting your fat from whole food sources like nuts, like seeds, you're not only are you going to get the fat, but you're going to get other essential nutrients. And our body always recognizes whole food better than it recognizes fractionated things. So when you're having an oil, like let's say you're having something like olive oil, well, you're getting the fat, but you're also missing all the phytonutrients that are in olives. So if you're going to focus on having some olive oil, I would say skip the olive oil, have the olives. It's going to be better for your body, right? It's going to have like enzymes and nutrients and things within it that the processed oil doesn't have, right? And I'm sure I'm going to get some pushback on this. And the other thing is, you can also go for nuts and seeds, right? Nuts and seeds have not only do they have the fats, but then they have other things like B vitamins and things with depending on the nut or the seed that are also really really beneficial for our bodies. So oftentimes, what I see people doing with their diet is that they're not really focusing on whole foods. They're having like more processed foods and packaged foods. And then because they're not getting the nutrients that their body needs, because they're having these fractionated things, they miss out on those nutrients and then they end up taking supplements. This is what this woman was doing yesterday. She was taking all of these different supplements. And I said, well, why don't we get rid of the supplements? And why don't we focus more on whole foods and see how that goes? And then if you feel like you need a little something, maybe there is like a superfood that we can add in that'll cover more of the bases. But the issue really with supplements, especially isolate supplements, is number one, they're isolates. So your body doesn't know what that is, right? It's not natural. And then depending on what the brand is, unfortunately, there are a lot of supplement brands out there that don't make high quality supplements. And I'm not going to name any names, but if you see a commercial for a supplement, I guarantee you that they are spending more money in their marketing and their advertising than they are in the quality of their product. And so I personally wouldn't be buying anything that's advertised at all anywhere. I mean, before I got into regenerative health, when I was on my health journey and I was dealing with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, Back then, I was on medications and I was doing supplements and I felt like trash. And I thought I had a healthy diet, but I didn't. I had a lot of processed foods and fast foods and things in my diet that were not really food. So I learned my lesson. So now my diet is whole food, superfoods, herbs. That's it. The only supplement that I take is the molecular hydrogen tablet. And the only reason I take the molecular hydrogen tablet is because it has things like NR, which is a precursor to NAD plus. It has resveratrol. It has a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of vitamin Z and B12, which I kind of like. But the main reason that I take the hydrogen tablet is just because it's a way of giving my body lots of molecular hydrogen. And there are these wonderful anti-aging benefits and things like autophagy and whatever. But this is like fast forward to today. A few years ago, I didn't know that. And so I was still on that supplement grind where I was probably spending about $250 to $300 a month on supplements and my medications. And I felt like trash. So once I started to learn, number one, soil quality really, really matters. Where your food is grown, how it's picked, how it's shipped, all that stuff really matters. Most of what is sold in a grocery store is GMO trash. We have been all programmed to go to a grocery store to buy a bunch of groceries that have virtually zero nutrition in them. That's how we've all been trained since we were little kids. And we need to break out of that habit, because if you could get nutrition at a grocery store and all the stuff that you're buying in a grocery store is really helping your health, why aren't more people healthy? More people are not healthy because most of what is sold in a grocery store is packaged non-foods that are pretending to be food. And then on top of that, not only does it have terrible minimal nutrition, but people don't combine their food properly anyway, and they're eating the wrong stuff. So there's that to contend with as well, right? So soil quality really matters. And anything that has been chemically sprayed needs to be avoided as much as humanly possible. Now, of course, because our food system is such a disaster, I don't expect people to flip this switch overnight, because so much stuff is on the market that's sold as food is toxic, whether it's in a restaurant, whether it's in a grocery store, a convenience store. So much of it is just junk, right? So soil quality really matters, trying to get stuff that has not been sprayed. And then, yeah, you even have to be very careful with organic, because until very recently, they were putting a peel on a lot of the organic foods. So this is why I've worked with superfoods now for over 6 years, because I know that the quality of soil that the superfoods are grown in is top notch. It's all regeneratively managed soil that is a lot more nutrient dense than even foods that are grown in organic soil. Then the other thing is, I know that everything with the regeneratively grown superfoods is picked at the peak of ripeness. When foods are picked and they're not ripened properly, they're missing nutrients and enzymes. And a lot of those foods don't ripen once they've been picked. And so that food information that you put into your body, whether it's an apple or a blueberry, if it hasn't been picked when it's actually ready to be picked, when it's ripe, then you may be eating it, but it doesn't have the nutrients you think it has. So just something to be aware of. So I've gone with the superfoods now for over 6 years because of the soil quality, because nothing is chemically sprayed, because it's regeneratively grown, because everything is tested for purity, for quality, and because even though the spirulina and the wheatgrass and all of these different superfoods are dehydrated, they're dehydrated at low temperature at like 78 Fahrenheit, which preserves the nutrients and the enzymes. And so it's not dead food. Whereas a lot of the GMO foods that people are buying in grocery stores, because they're lacking nutrients, because they're lacking enzymes, because they're picked at times when they aren't even ripe, they technically are not recognized as food by your body. And I'm just talking about the fruits and vegetables. And then when we get into the stuff that is the fast food and the processed food and the packaged food, the cereals and all of that stuff, like that stuff really is not seen as food by your body. And because it's so hard to break down, especially the stuff that's loaded with processed sugars and chemicals, your body does not know what to do with it. And so when it doesn't know what to do with it, especially with a lot of those chemicals, it will start sticking them into fat cells and tissues, and just your liver's going to get really, really overwhelmed, because it's like, I don't know what to do with all these chemicals. And the liver is responsible for processing every single chemical that comes into your body, whether it's coming in through your skin, whether you're breathing it in, whether it's on your food, whatever it is, your clothing, your poor liver has to deal with it. And so, the thing that I see the most common in the work that I do is people who have a liver that's overwhelmed, adrenals that are completely shot because of the amount of stress that people are under, and a gastrointestinal system that is also severely compromised because of the way that people eat. They're eating like all of these foods that are highly processed, that require different transit times, break down at different rates. And our body is not designed for that. Our body is super, super simple. Um, and so the less of different types of foods that you put on your plate, the more you can simplify it, the more that you can pair things properly, meaning that, if I'm having fruit, I'm just having fruit. I'm not having bread. I'm not having ice cream. I'm not having dairy. I'm not having meat. I'm just going to have fruit. Right. And then when I go later in the day and I'm going to have a salad, I'm just going to focus on having vegetables. I'm not going to add grains to it. I'm not going to add cereals to it. I'm not going to add lentils to it. I'm going to keep it as basic as possible. Why? Because it's going to make digestion so much easier and more efficient. Digestion is the most labor intensive thing that your body does. And so when you take your typical Western breakfast where you have eggs, toast, bacon, cheese, fruit, and hash browns, by the time you go to bed later that day, your body hasn't even broken down your breakfast. And you've probably been eating throughout your day. So one of the things that tends to happen for a lot of people is their body actually never catches up on the digestion, because day after day after day after day, they keep shoveling things into their mouth that break down at different rates. Some things that aren't even natural, that we shouldn't even be eating, should not be called food. And then your body just never catches up. So they feel tired, they feel depleted. And so then they're having like Red Bull or energy drinks or multiple cups of coffee to try to wake up. And one of the things I hear from people over and over and over again is that when we simplify their nutrition, when we really focus on how the human body is designed and what foods are natural for the human body, and pairing those things properly, and in terms of like how those things break down in the body, what ends up happening is I have people tell me over and over and over again that they have more energy, they're sleeping better, the weight starts to come off. Like it just starts to fall off their body, not with them sweating more in the gym, but we've taken away the burden that their body was having to deal with all of these unnatural food combinations, and things just not being paired properly, and eating things that aren't natural to the human body. So once we remove those barriers and we simplify, the body's not having to spend as much time digesting. And now it can take that energy and use it for cellular repair and restoration and like sleep. Sleep is one of the most important things that your body can do. And oftentimes when people aren't eating properly, their sleep is affected. And especially if they're doing any type of late meals or evening snacking, their sleep is affected. So they're not resting properly, which will throw the hormones out of balance, which will throw digestion out of balance. So there are all of these downstream things that are happening, right? And so I really wanted to share this. I do hope that it gets you thinking of like making things easier in your body, especially when it comes to certain types of things. Like, never combine fruit with something like an animal product, because animal products can take 24 to 72 hours to break down, and fruit takes less than an hour. And so it's just going to ferment in your system and you're not going to feel good. And this is when people are like, oh, fruit doesn't agree with me. No, it's not that fruit doesn't agree with you. It's just that if you pair it with something that is totally not natural for your body to break down, then of course you're going to have a hard time with it, right? So let's be smart, you know, let's be super smart about how we nourish ourselves and try and make things as simple and as easy as possible. So I'll give you like 3 tips. My first tip is always have fruit for breakfast. And, like if you're going to have apples, have like a couple different types of apples, or have some oranges, or have like, if you're going to have melons, have like a honeydew and a cantaloupe or something like that. But have fruit for breakfast, because it's going to make digestion super easy. You're going to have a lot more energy, and it's going to help your skin. And it's a lot more natural for our body to be consuming fruit first thing in the morning, because our body is digesting, or not digesting, our body is detoxifying from 5 in the morning till about 11 a.m. So if we eat something that is easy for our body to digest, what ends up happening is that you're just going to have more energy for your day. Whereas if you have a meal that has animal foods, has dairy, has complex starches, and it has fruit, it's going to take your body so long to break down that meal. Of course, you're going to feel tired because your body's having to expend all this energy for digestion. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is try and have your final meal of the day at least 3 hours before bedtime, because digestion can disrupt sleep. So if you eat too close to bedtime, and I've noticed this for myself, is if I eat too close to bedtime, even if it is like just like veggies or some fruit or something, it still messes with my sleep. So I try and have a cutoff time of like 3 hours before bed. I don't have anything to eat. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is really pay attention to food combining, right? The simpler the combinations, the better. So, like I said, when I'm having fruit, I'm just having fruit. If I'm making a salad, I'm sticking with veggies, like non-starchy veggies. And maybe every once in a while, I may throw in like a sweet potato or something like that. But that's not a very common thing. So, if I'm having veggies, I'm having veggies. Um, I will probably need to do another live at another time to talk about the whole protein myth. In fact, I think I will make a note in my calendar to do a whole live about the lies that we've been told about protein that are completely incorrect. And it's part of the reason why so many people are sick, is that most people are overdoing it on protein. They're overdoing it on the wrong kind of protein. And it's actually creating a big mess in their bodies. So I'll make a note and I will do that live in a couple of weeks to talk about that specifically. All right. So real quick before I go today, I wanted to share a really, really special promo. As you know, I am a huge fan of molecular hydrogen. I've been using this device now for 2 years, and I love this particular bottle because I can put frequencies into my water. So I'm going to put some recovery frequencies into my water here. And not only does it make molecular hydrogen on the base, that's where the bubbles are, but I can structure my water and I can put frequencies, sun frequencies, recovery frequencies, energy frequencies into my water. So I love this bottle. And until Tuesday, September 23rd, 7:59 p.m. Eastern, 4:59 p.m. Pacific, there is a special promo on the bottle. So the bottle on the website is a gold bottle and the silver bottle. If you get the bottle, there is a promo called the Light and Legacy Bundle. And what that allows you to do is just for 498 US or 488 euros, you get the bottle, but you get 3 of the molecular hydrogen tablets, the boxes. So 3 of the LVQ plus boxes, and you get a whole bunch of these tablets, like 3 boxes worth. And I love how the tablets work with the bottle. So the bottle is like having a nice, beautiful microdose of molecular hydrogen all day long. And I can use the frequencies and I can do 10 bottles a day, no problem. With the tablets, what I'm getting is a mega dose of molecular hydrogen. So for example, what I like to do is I usually will do a tablet before a workout, and then I'll do a tablet right after a workout because I'm like, I want my body to recover. So I want to give my body lots of molecular hydrogen. But the tablet isn't just molecular hydrogen. It has something called NR, which is the precursor to NAD+. A lot of people supplement NAD+, but by giving my body the precursor to NAD+, my body's going to take that NR and it's going to go through a process and convert it to NAD+. There's also something called spermidine in the hydrogen tablet. And what spermidine does is you can get it from certain foods, but what spermidine does in the body is it actually encourages autophagy. Autophagy is when our cells go into like a self-eating mode where our body gets rid of broken and damaged cells. Now, most of the time, the way to get into autophagy is either through cold plunging or through extended water fasting, water-only fasting. Now, most people don't enjoy doing water-only fasting because people like to eat, right? So this tablet has spermidine in it, which supports autophagy. And so that's a way that you can get your body into that mode where your body's getting rid of damaged cells and tissues simply by using the hydrogen tablet. And then there's also resveratrol, which is good for anti-aging. And so as I was saying earlier, I don't take any supplements. But the only thing I take now is the hydrogen tablet. Most days I do 2 to 3 hydrogen tablets a day. And I got into that because when I learned that this is the only tablet on the market that has spermidine, resveratrol, NR, it has all of these things that other people usually take supplements for. I'm like, well, if I'm going to take a longevity supplement, like this is it. This is the one that I'm going to take. And so I've been taking this now since like the beginning of June. And I like to drop it into my container. And I usually close the lid because as soon as it starts bubbling, what's happening is this is the hydrogen gas that's being released. And my water is always filtered room temperature. And I just like give it 2 to 3 minutes. The tablet breaks down. And then once the tablet's totally dissolved, I drink this. So anyway, until Tuesday only, 7:59 p.m. Eastern, 4:59 p.m. Pacific, you can get the bottle, but then you get 3 boxes of the LVQ Plus for free. And you also get 2 black $100 gift cards that you can utilize anytime on anything in the next few months. And I do know that there are some new hydrogen products that are going to be coming onto the market. So those black gift cards can come in super, super handy. But this promo is only around till Tuesday, September 23rd. And the reason is that these beautiful LVQ tablets, originally they were launched in the US only back in May. I was literally smuggling them into Canada. So this came out in May, and then at the beginning of June, or actually late June, we finally had the LVQ tablets launch in Canada. And then this promo that was just released is because now the LVQ Plus tablets are available in Europe. And I'm going to tell you, I have been hearing the most jaw-dropping testimonials from people that have been using the LVQ tablets. Like, there are people who have their parents are dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, and they have their family member on the tablets, and they've seen an improvement in their mood, in their mental faculty, those kinds of things. I know women who are dealing with a lot of stress and feeling like stressed and overwhelmed. And one of the things that I hear over and over and over again from women is that since they started using the LVQ plus tablets, their nervous system feels calmer, which actually makes a lot of sense. It's a combination of the hydrogen and the magnesium that's helping with that. And then there's other people that are dealing with like autoimmune conditions and all kinds of different health things that are reporting improvement. And then people like myself who don't have a health issue, but we're physically active, like I work out most days of the week. I never get sore. I've had better sleeps. My skin, which is pretty good, seems to be getting even better. And we have, like, for those of us that have been using the molecular hydrogen for a couple of years now, we have like what we call hydrogen hair. And one of the things that I notice this especially on my hairline, is like I'm getting like these little growths of hair. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Oop, I made a mess. I don't know quite what to make of it, but we call it hydrogen hair. It's like it's stimulating hair growth. And so those are the things that I've noticed, is like I never get sore no matter how hard I work out. And it's because I do the molecular hydrogen. I do the bottle every single day, multiple times a day. And then I'm doing 2 or 3 of these tablets. So anyway, if you want a deal, all you would have to do is get the bottle. Then you get like 3 of the boxes gifted to you after 21 days. With the bottle. And that's really because the bottle has a 21-day money back guarantee. And I can say this about the bottle. I've been using the bottle now for 2 years. I've had a lot of people get the bottle from me. Never, ever, ever has anyone ever returned the bottle, because people fall in love with the bottle. My next door neighbor got the bottle over the summer because she saw me with it. And I was telling another neighbor about how great the bottle is and how much it can help reduce the inflammation in her body and some of the things that she's been struggling with, because basically hydrogen helps upregulate mitochondria. It helps regulate the DNA, the RNA. It's a selective antioxidant. It reduces inflammation. And your body is made up of 62% molecular hydrogen. So it's native to our body, and it's actually one of the best things that you can do for yourself, and it's totally non-toxic. So anyway, I was telling my neighbor about this, and my other neighbor was like, I want a bottle. So she got herself a bottle, and she loves her bottle. She absolutely loves her bottle. She's noticed that her sleep is better. She's dealing with less physical pain in her body, less inflammation, less muscle soreness after working out. So all of these things that I've been talking about. So yeah, until next Tuesday only, you get the bottle. You can get 3 of these boxes for free after that 21-day period is over. And then you also get 2 $100 Black gift cards that you can use for whatever it is that you're wanting to give to yourself. So that could be applied towards the tablets. It could be applied towards some of the new stuff that's going to be coming out, which we're going to learn about at the beginning of October. And yeah, so the total value is like $909 US, but all you got to do is get the bottle, which is $498 US. It's a really great deal. So anyway, if you have questions, you can always put it in the comments. This live was a lot longer than I thought it would be. And I'm going to make a note to make sure to do part 2 to really talk about the whole protein myth that unfortunately most people have bought into, and it's impacting their health in a negative way. So thanks for being here. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Share this information with anyone who could really benefit from it. And if you want to work with me, I do have a group program called Elevate. And we meet once a week. There's pre-recorded videos that you can go through. And basically what I do in the program is just walk you through step by step of like creating a strong nutritional foundation in your body, detoxifying from chemicals and heavy metals, addressing parasites, and really looking at your body as this whole system: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and giving you the different tools that you can use to help support your body to creating optimal health. And these are the same tools that I use to reverse hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's in my body, and things that I continue to use to this day because I want to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. And I know that there's a lot of stuff that's out there on the market. Unfortunately, a lot of things that are out there are just a lot of hype and a lot of BS. And so one of the things that I've committed myself to doing is I test absolutely everything, and I make sure that it's the best stuff that is available out there, and um, that it actually works, that it actually does what it says that it's going to do, because otherwise, what is the point? Anyway, thanks for hanging with me. Check the captions below this video. Feel free to share this information with anyone, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I will see you in the next live in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.